everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as promised in my previous one, that we will be talking about Mercury and Virgo through the houses, because everybody could have a Mercury and Virgo, but it will be displayed differently depending on the house that it's in. So in my previous video, we just touched on, we just talked about Mercury and Virgo archetype, just generalizing a Mercury and Virgo person, but really all Mercury and Virgo people are really different, because it really does depend on the house that it's in, and the house that it's in, for Mercury and Virgo will determine exactly what that person is dissecting, and what it is that they're, nitpicking, and what it is that they're criticizing, and what it is that they're seeing the flaws in, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I always emphasize about how important your house is. Let's just get right into it. So Mercury in Virgo in the first house. So we know the first house, as I always say, is about, it's the house of yourself. This is the relationship that you have with yourself, and how you see yourself, and how you handle your personal issues, and how you handle, the insecurities that you have with yourself, your inner insecurities, or your inner, coping mechanisms, how you deal with the world in general, you know what I'm saying? Your first house is really just the relationship that you have with yourself, and how you project yourself into the world, and how you think you look. This is how you think you look to the world, you know what I'm saying? So this will obviously determine your personality, and your personality is gonna correspond with how you deal with how you show yourself love. How do you show yourself hate? How do you handle your love? How do you handle your self-hate or your self-love? How do you take care of yourself? This is all about you. The first house is all about you. That selfish, self-centered vibe, that's you. That's the first house. So having Mercury and Virgo in the first house, you are constantly thinking about your insecurities and nitpicking your insecurities, nitpicking your personal life and the people, places, and things that are in your life. This is for all my Virgo risings, right? And naturally having a Virgo rising, how you know how to organize other people, and this is something that you would share with Libra, with that whole thing with someone else. It's so much easier for you to organize, and this is the thing for all Virgos, really. It's difficult for you personally to get your shit together, just because you understand how much it takes for you to evolve, and how much time it takes, for you to work on yourself, and how much investment, it is for you to have with your, oh, I hope this isn't getting hot again. But yeah, it may be a thing where you understand how much investment you have to have in order to improve yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that thought may just be so draining and daunting to think, oh my God, getting my life together is so freaking draining. And thing is with Virgo is especially Virgo rising people, there's a thing where, of course, Virgo is known as being a perfectionist or whatever. But in the rising sign, it's more difficult to do that, just because this is you, and it's so difficult for you to kind of just accept how not perfect that you are, and you always give off the energy that you do have your shit together. You probably, Virgo risings are prone to having a job or having some kind of stability, especially Virgo moons and risings, definitely, but not so much Virgo sun signs. I've noticed that a Virgo sun is okay with not having a job and just living off of their parents' couches or something, or being an alcoholic or something like that, being a Xanny addict, especially the guys. Let me say the guys, because the Virgo women that I know, the Virgo guys that some of the Virgo men that I know are very much living that lifestyle. And it's always shocking. I always get shocked when I see earth signs, earth men, earth women just be chaotic. It's just wow. Whoa, wow. But yeah, a lot of the Virgo men, I will say, have can have some issues, or maybe they have something consistent, but they're just fucking a mess. But the Virgo women, I would say the Virgo woman, they may also gravitate towards that, but they definitely always, because it's a woman, I guess it's a female thing where you always do seek comfort, and you always seek, having your shit together. So you do things, even if it's dating a dude, just to use him for his money, or I don't know, whatever you do, you always want to have something reliable. So having a Virgo rising, that's something that you're constantly thinking about, is, oh my God, how do I sustain myself, and how do I keep myself, I guess, what's this? Mercury and Virgo people in the first house, these are the guys that are constantly thinking about themselves and how to improve themselves, and constantly thinking about how they can and even if it's not themselves, it's the people and places that are in people specifically that are in their personal lives, so they friends or their siblings or their parents. They're constantly thinking of how to help them because they're obviously in their personal life, so they're obviously thinking how can I help you, or how can I help you improve your life. It's a lot easier for a Virgo to want to improve somebody else, and because I think that takes the weight off of their own shoulders, because they know that their standards for themselves is so unbelievably high, and it's a lot easier to project that on someone else and demand that from somebody else than to actually work on that themselves, which is why a lot of Virgo rising specifically will be they're like good managers in that sense, where they know how to organize somebody else's life but not necessarily their own lives. But I think having Mercury in Virgo in the first houses can help you a lot in order to think about yourself, because it's someone that they're always constantly thinking about improving themselves. They're constantly thinking about oh my god, because these are the type of people that get embarrassed easily. In fact, Virgo energy in general, they get embarrassed so easily, just because they understand how easy, because they find flaws in people very quickly. So when people start doing that back to them, it's like, whoa, wait. I can do that shit to myself. I do not need you to tell me about shit about myself, because I know how to criticize myself just fine. I do not need you. And that's why they can take things personally. And that's the Virgo Mercury in the first house. People can take things very personally, in that sense. But generally, you're always thinking about yourself. And this makes somebody very relatable. This placement is definitely the unrelatable placement, where you're how you communicate with people is more so always either criticizing, really just either talking madly about your own insecurity. You're definitely someone that's self-deprecating with this. Definitely someone who has self-deprecating jokes, or you always talk about things that you hate about yourself, or you're always finding little flaws in yourself. That's what's constantly on your brain, just kind of thinking about, oh man, damn, I suck at doing this, but I really should start doing shit like that, whatever. Or as I said, you could do this with people who are actually in your personal life. In that sense, that's what the fuck you do. You just could do that. What else? But yeah, also having Mercury and Virgo in the first house, I think these people can be, I guess on the other side they can, because sixth house and Virgo is all about service. I guess they can somehow be in service of their insecurities, where they want to assist their insecurity, where they can further persist, further probe into their insecurities, and really just add on to that insecurity. You know what I'm saying? They can do that, or they could be in service of kind of growing out of that insecurity. Constantly thinking about ways to grow out of those insecurities. So if that means, especially if you're in school, if that means being a straight A student to make yourself feel better, then you do that. Or if that means smoking a whole lot of weed to make yourself feel better, then you do that. Or if that means, being being a clean freak, neat freak, to help you gain some kind of personal stability, then you do that. It all depends on you, what the fuck you want. So yeah, that's Mercury and Virgo in the first house. You're just constantly thinking about improving yourself and constantly thinking about your insecurities and probing. So I wouldn't even this would probably be a place for someone who has a mental disorder, maybe of some sort, or just borderline depression. I don't know. You just hate yourself so much because you constantly see the flaws in yourself. So, just chill out on that, bro. I'm pretty sure you're fucking hot. And I know Virgo risings are sexy as fuck. Just beautiful, gorgeous. So you're very gorgeous, but just don't be so hard on yourself. This is coming from a Virgo, sun sign, and Mars. I got you, bro. Don't be so hard on yourself. So moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the second house. So we know second house is, things that you value, things that you possess, things that you have. This is the house of I have. And just think of everything that you have. You have your body, you have clothes, you have food, water, your phone, money, your house. All that shit, and essentially what you have, hopefully you value your body, because the opposite of, I guess, value would be devaluing or not seeing value in something, and then you start, I guess, being pessimistic in that way, you don't really necessarily appreciate what you have, appreciate your body, appreciate that you have an arm, appreciate that you have food and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But that really all correlates to the second house, is really just your value systems and things that you have and possess. You know what I'm saying? It's really, I guess, self-explanatory with I have. But having Mercury here, you're someone that, this is for all the Leo risings. So I would say you're somebody that, okay, first of all, you value having what's this? organized systems. This is the Mercury and Virgo person that likes to organize. You value having organized systems. You value your thought patterns. And you probably have a really good voice with this, and you probably want to improve. Like, let's say you're single with this and you have a Mercury and Virgo in the second house. You value your voice and you value the fact that you can sing, so therefore you want to improve, because as I said, Virgo is all about improvement and making something better and evolving and just adding on to how amazing it could potentially be, and trying to add on to ways that it could be even more perfect. So you're the Mercury and Virgo person that wants to take singing classes, so it's because second house is also an earth house, so I think also with this adds more of a grounded thought process. So even with guys that are, like the chaotic dudes with this placement, yeah, sure, they could be fucking coked up or zannied up or drugged up, weed up, stoned up, whatever, but they always have like a way to get money so that they can get that shit again. You know what I'm saying? They always have a strategy or a plan, or maybe even like having ideas that are practical enough for them to get money so that they can sustain the drug that they value, or it's a thing like that. You just, if something that you value, if it's something that also, I guess, calms your nerves in that sense, then you know how to practically come up with ideas that are useful in order to continue providing the thing that you value for yourself, and even with the women, like if women, you like to go shopping, whatever, even dudes, you might like to go shopping, so think of practical, consistent ways on how to get money so that you can go thrifting, you can do whatever you want to, you know what I'm saying? If you like fucking cooking with this, so you like to think of practical ways and I guess ways that make sense in order for you to continue cooking and continue doing that very thing that you want to do. But you also want to find ways or maybe not find ways, but you could also change ways that you do that, because like I said, that mutable energy is very influential in how Virgos do things, where they did it this way, but there's always room for improvement. So this time we're gonna do it like this and just see what happens, because in that sense, Virgos and Aquariuses are very similar in that sense, where they, I guess, not necessarily afraid to take a risk, but a Virgo is a lot more cautious. Let me say that a Virgo is a lot more cautious, where, or maybe let me say, complain. They love complaining, where they may fuck around and be like, guys, okay, let's just change this whole way, and they'll criticize. Like, for example, let's say we're building a house and we said, we're gonna use these specific bricks to build a house, and the Virgo's like, okay, cool. Now, if we all change our minds and be like, nah, let's get these different bricks, a Virgo will complain, but they'll probably just be like, oh, okay, let's see how this goes. You know what I'm saying? They'll complain, but they'll be like, or even if they don't outwardly complain about it, they'll like internally be like, oh fuck, what are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? They're probably, I haven't met a Virgo that like will bite their tongue. I guess like they're young and they're shy, because obviously some Virgos will be a lot more shy and a lot more what's this? Not detached, aloof about it. Or maybe just leave it at shy. They'll be a lot more shy about it, so they won't really say much, so you get those Virgos that would do that. But generally, having your Mercury in Virgo in the second house, you also probably valued, have the systems of school. Because I remember my friend who she was a Taurus though, but she had some sixth house placements, but she enjoyed the timetable of school, because we had a timetable, right? So first period is this, second period is this, third, and she loved knowing what was gonna happen, so she would prepare her books in that, so for example, let's say she had English first period, so she'll put her book in the front of her bag, and then let's say she had science the next period, then she'll put her science book in this just after her math or her English book, and then let's say she'll have hospitality the next lesson, then she'll put her hospitality book in, you know what I'm saying? So it's order, and they value that. As a Mercury and Virgo in the second house person, you value those systems, you value organizing things, and let's say you even have your own home, because you have a Leo rising with this, so you have some kind of stubbornness to you, you know what I'm saying? You're very fun, goofy and shit, but you're very you're very practical in the way that you think about things. So yeah, you will fun in games, but like you're a very organized person, and you're always constantly thinking about like how, because you value your organization, and you value being organized, and you value being neat, and you value, you know, cleaning. You value cleaning. Oh my god, you value that shit. You love that shit, you know. You value those things, so you like having systems around that, you know. You definitely the Virgo who finds so much joy in, you know, I wake up and I do my bed and I clean my room every day. And I brush my teeth right after that, and I have my avocado toast with my strawberries and grapes and my kombucha. And, you know, I love going for my jog after that. Or maybe you go for a jog before. I love going for my jog after that, and that's how I start my day. And then I go to my job, and then I come back, and then I drink a glass of wine, and then I cuddle with my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my cat or my pillow, and then I watch movies. You know, you love that system, because that's what essentially keeps you grounded, you know. And I think you value essentially having a grounded thinking pattern, you know. You don't necessarily like having too many thoughts. And I think you also, you're probably the type of person that has came up with thoughts, or I guess ways of how to keep you grounded, you know. So, you know, whenever you start getting those manic obsessive thoughts, like, you know exactly what, or maybe you like, you know what to do to keep you grounded, or just, I guess, maybe pause the overthinking. So even if that is, you know, like taking Xannies or something like that, you know, or fucking, I don't know, taking a nap or doing yoga, you know, especially like if you know, into that right now, like you probably really value this. And I would actually recommend people with, you know, earth signs and earth houses to really get into yoga, specifically yoga. Never mind gymming, yoga, bro. Get into yoga, because that's it's like a mind and body breath type of thing that really does keep you grounded. So if you are definitely into that, I wouldn't be surprised that, you know, it's helped you, and you've benefited from, I mean, not even just Mercury and Virgos in the second house, really just everybody, but like you having a Mercury and Virgo in the second house, I'm pretty sure you may even have your sun sign in that same house, so they're conjuncting. So you already value those things that keep you grounded, that keep your thoughts grounded, that keep your body feeling good and grounded, and you don't have to feel so achy, and, you know, you're thinking so much, and your back is also hurting, and then your stomach hurts, and then it's like, oh fuck, let me just smoke weed, and you don't really tend to your body, you know. So I think gradually, when you decide to do that, you really start like feeling the benefits of like just being grounded. But for the most part, I feel like you're someone who values being grounded and having grounded thoughts and having simple but like, you know, intellectually stimulating thoughts and conversations with people. You know, you don't like complicating it, you like getting to the point, but you also like kikiing, kaka, whatever, but you also like, you know, let's get to the fucking point. But let's add details, because we want details. We love details. It's giving that. That's what it's giving. Mercury and Virgo in the second house. It's giving simplicity, but in a detailed way. So anyway, moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the third house. So this is a double emphasize with the Mercury. Actually, a triple emphasize with the Mercury energy, because we have Mercury, and then we have the third house, and third house is home in Mercury. Well, Mercury rules the third house. Well, the third house rules Mercury, whatever, but it's Mercury. Actually, let me say Mercury rules the third house, yes, and the sixth house. So it's Mercury, and then it's the third house, and then it's Virgo. So it's just like an overemphasis of Mercury energy, right? So this is definitely someone who does have scattered thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You someone like, and I'm very sure with this placement you were so book smart in school. Like, you were like effortlessly smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll say more so, I'll say book smart. I'll say a little bit street smart though, but I especially in your environment, because your third house is, you know, where you grew up, like the environment, not necessarily your home, like the house where you grew up, but more so the environment, like your neighborhood, you know, the people, your friends, and your school, and, you know, the garage, and the grocery store, and the car that you use to get there, and, you know what I'm saying, like your siblings too, you know, that's your third house, you know. And also just how you, like, because you grew up in that environment, you obviously started speaking like those people, and that's why, you know, you would have that accent. Like, if you're from Durban, then you're gonna sound like you're from Durban, you know. And that's the third house vibe, that's that third house thing. But yeah, so that's that. So having Virgo in here, Virgo in the third house makes someone, because I said this is the Gemini house, right? This makes someone like overly think of. So I would say this is somebody who, because remember in my previous video I said that Geminis have a thing where they'll have many scattered thoughts, and they want to bring the many scattered thoughts into one. And I said Virgos will have one specific thought and then extract many things from that. You know, I think from here it could also be like like with having Mercury in Virgo in your third house, you know how I think you can like blend the two, where you can shade from both, where you can have many different thoughts but then know how to like bring them in one, and then know how to like nitpick which thought is worth it, which thought makes sense enough to be included into the overall thought or the overall idea. You know what I'm saying? Or you can also shapeshift into that, you know, the natural Virgo thinking process, where you think about one, like for example, you know, you want to be, let's say you want to be a musician, right? So you know how to, and let's say you have Mercury and Virgo in the third house, so you want to make different kinds, like different genres of music, right? So you start thinking, okay, I love R&B, I love hip-hop, I love this, how can I make them into one? You know how to do that, but you also know how to be like, okay, I want to just make R&B music, but I want to, I guess, be multifaceted with how I do R&B, like do different kinds of R&B. You know, you want to do Usher R&B, and then you want to do SZA R&B, then you want to do Jill Scott R&B, you know, that type of thing. You just know how to shape and just, I don't know, somehow make that shit come into one. So take that example and use it with everything else in your life, you know. Oh, and it's doing that thing again. My nose is doing that thing again. But you know, you do that, I mean, you know how to do those things. You just know, like, you know how, it's like you do mental gymnastics. You know how to perfectly do mental gymnastics, and you know how to give, I feel like this kind of gives Aquarius vibes, because you are Cancer rising with this, right? But having Mercury, I think having Gemini and Mercury together does create like Aquarius vibes, you know, where you just know how to do mental gymnastics. But you're not as stubborn, though. I don't think you're necessarily as stubborn as an Aquarius would be, but you're not as do mental gymnastics, where you know how to like think a thought, you know how to have an idea of what to do, maybe just running an errand that day, you know. You have, okay, maybe not say, because that's such a mundane thing, like if you, all you have to do that day is pick up groceries, and you can just do that. Oh, maybe you could be the Mercury and Virgo person in the third house that wants to like go to the store, but then add on to what else you should do, like, oh, and then you start remembering, okay, I'll go to the store, but oh shit, I also need to get candles for my room, and oh damn, last week I did want to go get I don't know, these chips or these noodles, so you go get that, you know. You just have a whole bunch of other ideas to this shit, you know. Yeah, it could be that situation. But as I said, you very mentally you can also be very mentally unstable with this particular situation, because there's just so many thoughts for you to have, you know. But I think you're the person that if you were taught an instrument, or if you want to learn an instrument, you learn things very quickly. You can learn things super quickly. So I think even in that sense, you could become mentally lazy, just because things come to you very easily, so you don't really have to try that much. So you become mentally lazy, you know. Or you could be very like mentally astute, where you just like learn an instrument literally within like a month, and you know, in a month you're like an amateur, maybe not an amateur, but like intermediate level. I think that's the word, intermediate. You're just there, like, because you know how to pick things up just by listening to something. You're a very auditory, clairaudient person. Maybe you could also be clairaudient, I don't know, you know what I'm saying. But you just know how to like learn things quickly, you know. And you're a very good listener, where you have like sharp ears, where you can like really just like tune out shit and like focus your energy into what someone's saying, and like just kind of seeing everything that's going on with what the fuck they're just saying. And, like, you know how to filter through, I guess, what isn't necessary, or even look directly at what wasn't necessary and look at why it was even said. Like, why did someone just say that right now? And be like, okay, they just said that probably because they didn't know how to fully explain what they were trying. Even right now, like, I'm kind of struggling to say something very fluently, but you're kind of like, okay, you're picking up like, okay, Teno's just trying to say this and this. You know what I'm saying? That's you guys. You're very fucking like smart in that sense, you know. And you also could be one of those super quiet Mercury in Virgo, guys, in the third house, where you're very observant in that sense. You know, you just want to observe your surroundings and observe. You're very good at observing people, but like more so your environment, the environment around you, and kind of extract knowledge out of that. Like I think you could be like a good people person. Just for you to be a good people person, you just need to understand people first and like kind of take a step back to analyze how someone thinks. You know, you want to see how someone thinks first before you give your 2 cents, or before you show them how fucking criticizing and nagging you fucking annoying are. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be that situation first. But for the most part, it's like, you know how to like quickly pick up on how people think, because this is really adds on to the cerebral aspect to it, you know, where you're sapiosexual in that sense, especially if you have this conjunct in your Venus, you know, or your moon especially, but you just love having these intellectual conversations with people, you know, and you love having like you just love having like you like picking people's brains. And I think maybe you also get like a little paranoid sometimes, especially if it's unwarranted when someone tries to pick your brain. But as long as you like, as soon as you understand, oh, okay, they're just trying to have a conversation, oh my god, whatever, it's not that deep, then you're like, oh, okay, and then you start doing that thing where you have these conversations with people and like nitpicking or like going over the details over what's been said, you know what I'm saying, that type of thing. But yeah, that's Mercury and Virgo in the third house. These are cool. And then moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the fourth house. So we know fourth house is all about your home and, you know, your roots and the energy or the emotions of your childhood. You know, this is where your good old childhood trauma comes from, your fourth house, you know. But everything who you are now as an adult really stems from your childhood, you know, because they always say to know where you're going, know where you come from, you know what your childhood traumas are, so you know what to work on, and, you know what you really liked as a child, so you know what to add on to if you want to continue doing that or whatever, you know. But fourth house, you know, your mother rules, your general family members, the actual home, like the building of your house. I'd actually say the building of your house is more so like the second house, because it's obviously you value home, so the home is like the buildings and shit and the stability of your house, and then the home part, like the family and the feeling of going home, that's the fourth house. And this is for what my Gemini risings, right? So I think personally you're already very talkative and stuff, like you talk a lot to yourself, especially with having Gemini rising, you just talk a lot to yourself and like self-introspect a lot. But having Mercury in Virgo in the fourth house, this makes someone these are like the more shy Virgos, you know, who genuinely really prefer staying at home, you know what I'm saying? But I think in that sense, you know, having water placements in any of your planets will make it a lot more like intuitive and a lot more emotionally like sensitive, or a lot more emotionally vulnerable in that sense. So you may like to hide what your thoughts, or you may like to keep your thoughts secret, or you may like to only speak your mind to those closest to you, aka your mom, your dad, your brother, and your childhood best friend, or maybe, you know, obviously your teacher if you develop like a trust with her, or, you know, maybe your teacher is like your mom's friend or something, so you can talk to her about that, you know. Or just for you to be like super comfortable with someone, you have to like kind of have an emotional closeness with them, or understand them emotionally, or understand where they come from, which essentially would be having an emotional bond with them, you know, because what you're constantly thinking about is your home, and analyzing your home, and analyzing how you can help your home, and analyzing, you know, how you can fucking improve your home. You probably like a homebody, like your homebody, but the way that you probably grew up in a very, like your mother or your dad, maybe your sister or your grandmother, they may have, they probably were like the ones who had taught you how to be neat, you know, your mom taught, or your grandmother, your sister, whoever. They were the ones who taught you how to be organized. They were the ones who taught you how to be, you know, they taught you how to like wash dishes, you know, they taught you how to be a neat person, and then you grew up out of that, and, you know, knowing how to structure your own home and even structure your own life, and you probably, you know, grew up like I guess valuing those teachings that your family members taught you, you know. So now you grow up and you basically do that for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Because they taught you how to do that from a very young age. You probably had a very, if you didn't have a Virgo sun sign mother or moon sign mother, I don't know, someone in your life was very prominent who was a Virgo. I mean, you just grew up with that Virgo energy where everybody was super organized, super health orientated, they're super like fucking just that, all that Virgo shit. So how you think about that, it's always like you probably prefer having those communication sessions or those sessions with people that A, like represent home, but also B, do come from home, aka your cousins or your siblings and shit like that. You probably communicate a lot more efficiently, better with those people, because I mean, Virgo energy can be very secretive, and I don't think people talk about that enough. Virgo energy can be very, very private. I'm going to say it's secretive, more so private in that sense. And then with this particular placement, sure, you can be a social person, but I think you tend towards more introversion, where you probably only speak when spoken to. And this can go for, the guys and the girls, the guys and the girlies, either way, it can go both ways. But yeah, for the most part, you're just very an introverted person, you probably only how do I say this? You may not, I think the school thing, because I mean, school isn't necessarily like that important. Like, who gives a fuck about school? So, but just for the sake of this, like how you organize yourself in school, you were probably someone who, because you came from, a Virgo environment when you grew up, you probably also, because it's your comfort zone, so for you to be comfortable, you at school and even in your workplace, you had to be an organized person. And organized, like, you take your home rituals and everything that they taught you as a child, and you take that into the world, as your safety net, as a thing to protect you. You know what I'm saying? So if at home, obviously they taught you how to be organized and wash dishes. So you take those same systems and those same organization skills, and you apply them to how you study. You apply them to how you listen in class. You apply them to how you wear your uniform, if you wear your uniform. Even at work, you apply that to your work ethic. You apply that shit to, how you wear your uniform, if you wear a uniform at work, or how you organize your outfit for the day. You know what I'm saying? You just do that. That's how you think. It's all based on your childhood. And you probably think about your childhood a lot as a Virgo Mercury in the fucking 4th house. You probably think about, thinking about like those value systems, and you probably may think about, wow, I wonder who taught my dad how to be the neat freak that he is. Oh wow, I wonder who taught my mom to be the neat freak that she is. And then, but be like, hey, but I guess it works, well, without those teachings, I'd probably be a lazy blob who doesn't really care about health and, sustaining the many generations that are to come. So you probably someone that would teach not only your friends the systems that you had been taught at home, but you're probably someone that wouldn't teach or impose or even implement those teachings to your children, and just everything that you do in your life, Yeah, so obviously every family will be different, but with your situation, it really does stem from like your parents, your mom specific. I would say your mom specifically, but it could be your dad too, could be your mom. But whatever your mom or your dad taught you, those like the prominent parental figure in your life, you usually like do things very similar to them, and that's how you start thinking, because it really does stem from home. That's the shit. That's the vibe with Mercury and Virgo in the 4th house. Yeah, and also very sensitive, obviously. And I think you're very perceptive, and also you can obviously see what someone is trying to say, but kind of also connect to the feeling. As I always say, you always want to connect to the feeling of how someone is saying something to you, Virgo in the 5th house, right? So this is going to be very similar to 5th house, because we know 5th house is how you express yourself. So it's very similar to the sun qualities. So it's how you express yourself, how you have fun, how you have fun and enjoy yourself, just joy, the feeling of joy. That is 5th house. Like, how do you feel joyous in your life? It's getting kind of dark, but yeah. How do you feel joyous in your life as a person, as like, a little human individual? As a human individual, how do you, sorry, I'm very distracted right now. Yeah, but having I think Taurus rising with this. So personally, you're very cool, calm, collected, and you're very stable personally, and you very much love and appreciate yourself, and you love and appreciate your insecurities. You know, you value that shit. You just like complaining about them, but there's nothing you're gonna do about changing them because you actually value them. I think you just enjoy talking about how much you don't like how your eyes are. I don't know, but you love your eyes, but you love being insecure about your eyes. That's the whole like fucking Taurus risings are like that. But anyway, having Taurus, so you have a Taurus rising, and then you may have, could you also be like a Gemini rising? No, you could have like what's the rising for Taurus rising? An Aries rising. You could have an Aries rising, but your Mercury didn't quite make it in the 6th house, so it jumped into the 5th house. You know, but for the most part, I know Taurus risings will have Virgo in their 5th house. You know, so what you enjoy doing, you enjoy like working out, you enjoy having some kind of routines in your life. You know, you enjoy being, I guess, nitpicky, you know, because you feel like, yeah, that's the right thing to do, because without being nitpicky, like we might be sick or something, you know what I'm saying? Something bad might happen. So like, thank God for nitpicking and shit like that. You know, you could be, that's how I feel Taurus risings are. But having Mercury in Virgo in your 5th house, these people are, like I said, 5th house anyway makes you very funny, especially in your Mercury, your moon, or if you have your 1st house lord in the 5th house, that also makes you funny. Or if you have your sun in the 5th house. Okay, guys, the sun is going down. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, so having having that shit in your 5th house, naturally, having your Mercury in the 5th house in Virgo makes you very, very funny, because it's like you're naturally nitpicking, right? But the way you're doing it is in like the most dramatic way, which is very similar to having, like, let's say you're a Leo sun and having a Virgo Mercury, or you know, your yeah, I think that's about it. Or even having a Leo moon. I'm so tired now. I was like on my knees, but I give up. The sun can win. It's fine. I have these. Let me turn this shit on. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, you could, you know, you're just very dramatic with how you like express your nitpickiness, because it's like it's very similar to Aries energy, where you just, everything you say just sounds like you hate everything, but how you say it is so hilarious. It's like, it's not necessarily relatable. Well, I guess it is relatable, because I mean, nothing under the sun is new, you know, because I mean, everything is essentially relatable. I guess it's how you present it that could be unrelatable, you know. But having this, sure, everything that you're saying can be seen as unrelatable, but the way that you're saying it is so fucking hilarious. It's like, you ever been around someone that like, yo, everything that they say is just, damn, I fucking hate these shoes. Damn, I hate my face. Damn, I hate... But just how they're saying it is so funny. That's a Mercury and Virgo in the 5th house. That's that person. Like, no matter what, they're probably the person that, especially, like, and this is like the public speak. You know, 5th house is very expressive. So these are the type of people that would probably love debating, you know, because they love proving how smart they are. And Virgo energy loves to prove how smart it is and how, you know, mentally astute they are. Yeah, the vibes, fucking But for the most part, like, you'll get that sense from that Virgo person that, yes, they probably love arguing, you know, because it's their time to show you and express to you, you know, how much they know about things, and how many facts they have about this, and how many facts they have to prove to you that they are right or something, you know, whatever, because that could be the dark side of that, but also could be the light side of it, you know. But yeah, they love like expressing that side of them. And it could also be a situation where, like, also depending on, I want to say depending on how they express themselves, they could also get like physically sick. Maybe not, but I think it's just a thing of they enjoy, like, I think they just enjoy, it's an enjoyment thing. You enjoy, this could also be an actor person, you know, someone who's an actor, where they can shapeshift, you know, mutate themselves, aka mutable signs. They can mutate themselves into becoming a specific character, or even just dressing differently, and, you know, think, or I guess communicate it. For example, like, let's say a Mercury in Virgo person watch the movie with Angelina Jolie, and now they want to be an actor. They know how to first, like, they want to study how does she dress and how does she act and how does she say things, and then they're going to study like the detail. They just want to see the expression, because this is a Mercury and Virgo person, because they're analyzing the expression of other people too. That's how they analyze things, by analyzing how you express yourself and then looking at the details of how you express yourself. And if they want to, for example, let's say they're like, bored and hate their lives or something, or whatever, something like that, if they want to pretend to be someone else, they'll just study the very details of how someone acts, and how they use their hands to communicate. Maybe they, when they speak, they're very, like, they're blank, so they study that, and then they know how to extract that expression and be like, okay, I know how to be blank or something. I've seen someone do that. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. It's just like, you also just see and you think, when someone is speaking to you, you're analyzing the details of how they're expressing themselves, and then that's how you can kind of catch on to how somebody else thinks and how somebody else communicates and where that comes from. Those vibes. So yeah, moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the 6th house, which, as I said, Virgo is ruled by the 6th house. So this just adds on to a very voluptuous, beautiful 6th house. So this is for all my Aries risings, So having this, like, you definitely are someone that is unrelatable. Because I know Aries energy, as I said, ruled by Mars. They're, like, not very relatable people. Although I guess they don't really want to relate to people because they have, like, this individualistic way of viewing life and, like, just doing things for themselves. Okay, this lighting is just making me annoyed. Yeah, there we go. It's fine now. So yeah, they have a very individualistic way of, like, doing things. That's the Aries energy. So they may not be relatable in that sense. But Virgo is not relatable because they're just going to criticize everything about you. You know what I'm saying? So having this, you can come across as a very combative person. I wouldn't be surprised if you're someone that's not very liked. You don't have a lot of... You know what you remind me of? You remind me of, if you watch Sex Education, this new season 3, Otis has this new secret girlfriend who's, like, a bad bitch. She's always neat. She always looks good. I don't know about her grades because we don't really get to see any of their grades, but she's a bad bitch. She always dresses nicely. She's the popular kid. She's very combative, but she's sensitive, essentially, right? And everything she says is always, like, very sassy and, like, straight to the point, and she can always dissect you. She always looks good, so you can't really, if you had to come up to her and be like, okay, well, no, fuck you, because there's nothing that she presents that's wrong with her. I think it's giving that energy, where you're very, like, you're an individualistic person, and I guess you get really hard on yourself because you give off the energy that you're the baddest bitch in the whole wide world every single day, and you, like, continuously presenting that side of you. Excuse me. You like to present that side of you, so when you, like, I guess, criticize other people, you don't want to give them a chance to, like, look at anything wrong with you, because you want to have your shit together, and you really want to appear to have your shit together, so people don't really, like, come for you, even though you probably like coming for people. I don't know. It could be that situation. It's giving that. I could be wrong, but it's giving that. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting right now from the gods of Mercury, anyway. But yeah, that's what it's giving. It's just giving, like, you owe it. But I think essentially having this, because you have all the zodiac signs in their respective houses, and then having, obviously, like, all your sun, moon, rising would probably, if you, for example, you're an Aries rising, you could have Sagittarius sun, Virgo moon, then your Sagittarius sun will be in the 9th house, and then your Virgo moon will be in the 6th house. But also the degree systems can also say otherwise. But for the most part, having this particular placement, you're definitely someone that's always thinking... I said a lot just to say this. But for this particular placement, you're definitely someone that, you think a lot about your health, specifically. You're definitely a health freak, a neat freak with this, and you're very aggressive about it too, because of that Aries rising, You're aggressive about, being a neat freak. And you love... let me say no. But it's like your intentions for living is to be healthy. So I wouldn't be surprised with this. If you're like I don't know, maybe a personal trainer or a trainer of some sort. Maybe you're a chef. Could be a chef with this, because I know Virgo's not a throwdown. Virgos rule your body, and food and shit, and knowing how to nourish your food. Nourish your body, You're definitely into vitamins. Definitely into your vitamins. Maybe you forget sometimes, but you're definitely into, like, your working out regimes. I don't know. Definitely always constantly thinking about, like, how to organize your life so that you can consistently stay stable, you know, in terms of having money, and in terms of, you know, buying your favorite foods, or buying your favorite wines, or buying your favorite shoes, PS stations. I don't know what you guys are into, but you just want to have this consistent flow, and you like doing things. It's like you look forward to attacking your daily goals, especially if you know that, oh, it's like, for example, work. That's a daily goal. You go to work every day because you know you're gonna get paid. But you feel, you like, you have this passion with attacking your goals and doing things that you know are gonna get you stable, and doing things that you know are gonna, you know, help assist with you living the life that you want to live right now. You know, that's what you're constantly thinking about. There's a wasp, and this wasp has been flying around the house this whole day. But anyway, yeah, that's you. Mercury and Virgo people in the 6th house, you're constantly thinking about your health, your work, your daily routine. You're constantly thinking about, like, if you, I'm pretty sure you're someone that doesn't like sleeping over at people's homes, because, like, I mean, sure, you're very, like, you're the friend, I'm pretty sure you're the friend that has a list of everything to take. Okay, take lotion, toothbrush, socks, underwear, that. But, you know, and you know how to, like, I guess when you leave, you're like, okay, do I have my toothbrush or whatever? But it's also a situation, it's like, damn, like, I like being at home because everything I need is that everything is organized exactly how it should be at home, and everything is, you know, like, I wake up on this side of the bed and I know how to, it could get that drastic, I don't know, you just, like, you know, you have this very specific way of living your life, this very detailed way of doing things as your morning routine and day routine. And you know, when you sleep over at people's homes, they do things differently, so for you this could be really frustrating, you know, because you have your individualistic way of doing things that help you stay grounded, and sometimes you may not be able to do that at other people's homes, so you prefer just to not stay at home. Or you maybe also the Virgo that doesn't like having other people at your house, because once again, that also means that you could somehow have to alter your routines, and it's like, damn, bro, now if I don't do yoga in the morning, my whole day is fucking ruined, or you know what I'm saying, that situation. So you probably may not like going out to people's homes because you know you have to, like, you know, sacrifice those things. Yeah, so you're probably someone that doesn't really mind staying by yourself, but you're also probably very annoying because, like, you probably like to force your friends to do that shit too, because obviously it works for you. You know, working out, doing push-ups, the second you wake up every day has helped you, so now you think your friends should do that too. And, you know, some of your friends don't give a fuck about working out. Some people are actually allergic to working out, and you may not understand that just because it works for you, but it is what it is, you know? It is what it is, so you just have to get over that shit. But yeah, that's Mercury, and once again, very go with money. This placement, very fucking amazing with money. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the 7th house for my Pisces risings. So, you know, 7th house is, you know, your relationships, romantic relationships, your type of people that you like to date. Yeah, it's your fucking yeah, as I got distracted, but 7th house is, you know, your type and just your one-on-one relationships and how you relate yourself to people and how you want to see. It's like, you know, it's 7th house is you wanting to see yourself from other people's perspectives. So in that sense, it's like a relatability, because you want to see how you want to see how other people view you, because that the opposite of that house would be how you view yourself, which is the 1st house. But anyway, having Mercury in Virgo in the 7th house, bruh, you constantly thinking about how to, like, make your relationships work, but how to improve your relationships, especially the romantic ones, you know what I'm saying? If you even have one. Maybe you don't have one because you understand, damn, this takes so much fucking work, this is so much. Or maybe you attract guys or girls or humans that think you're a lot of work, you know what I'm saying? It could go either or way. You could also, because I know Pisces risings with the Virgo in the 7th house, they could have this savior hero complex where they want to save you. They want to save you. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So you could be the savior in the relationships where you want to fix someone. This is definitely, like, you know, they say Virgos are fixers. Virgo in the 7th house, this, I think, and the 6th house, excuse me, let me say 7, 6, and, excuse me, and I'll say 8. 7, 6, 7, 8th house. And 1st house. Yeah. Yeah, these are the guys that really want to fix you. Like, you guys, we almost so part of the crew. Lol, but yeah, we the ones that want to fix people. These Virgo in the first house, Virgo in the sixth house, Virgo in the seventh house, Virgo in the eighth house definitely want to fix people. Virgo in every other house may dilute that energy, you know. Even 10th house, because you know if you're with them, then you should obviously represent their energy or whatever. But for the most part, these are the guys that definitely are adamant on fixing people, or like, you know, like especially seventh house, really speaking about seventh house. But you know, it's more so like you get into these relationships where you could also possibly attract a lot of toxic people, the people that just need serious help, like your type. You know, there was this fucking picture on Instagram that was like my type in men, or my type. So it was this girl who was like, my type is fucked up man, so if I ever liked you, please go get help. This is you probably attract a lot of broken people, or a lot of like just fuck people who need help, man. And that could be something that could be constantly on your mind, is like how to improve people, or how to, because this is, as I said, the house of the others, so you're constantly thinking about other people, and like, how do I improve other people as a way of projecting my own improvement, when you could just fucking improve yourself as a person, you know what I'm saying? But you're constantly thinking about like how to maybe even orchestrate yourself to be in a specific way in order to be exactly what your partner wants, you know, because Virgo energy can be in that sense, what's this, where they want to accommodate somebody else's needs, or accommodate somebody else's personality, you know. So this is a Virgo who can be a people pleaser, probably prone to being a people pleaser with this placement, you know. It's like, okay, how can I improve myself, right, so I can be better for someone else? It's giving that energy with the Virgo Mercury in the 7th house. So you're constantly thinking about like your partner and what your partner would want. What does your partner want? And how can you improve your partner's health? And how do you make your partner realize how what an amazing asset you are? You know, it's all about, how do I improve my partner's way of thinking? You know what I'm saying? You're always putting you may constantly think your people, even your friends, doesn't have to be someone that you're dating. You're constantly thinking about how to like assist them, and how to, you know, like, I don't know, somehow help them, you know, or maybe help yourself in order for them to see you in a specific way, you know, that type of thing. Also with this placement, this could also be a really good number, like you go with numbers or something like that, because I know like having specifically Mercury in earth houses and air houses can make and air houses can make you very, very like mathematically smart, and even the first house, but it can make you very like smart, and you know, like that whole book smart, whatever, good in math, good in science, chemistry and shit, you know. Or maybe you're not, you know, and you just like have so much mental energy that it's difficult for you to pinpoint that shit down and like focus, so you could have ADHD or something like that, you know. But yeah, you're constantly thinking about relationships in that sense, you know. You're probably someone, you know, those Virgos that really do want to be in a relationship, you know, that type of thing. What else? My Queen Virgo in the 7th house. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say. So we're going to move on to Mercury in Virgo in the 8th house, right? So these are the Virgos that are deeply perceptive into people, right? But they may not necessarily outwardly, because once again, the 8th house is all about secrets. So they may hide what they truly think, you know, with this placement. If you have Virgo Mercury in the 8th house, you may be someone, you see everything, you know, because 8th house is that deep scorpionic house that's, you know, all about sex and transforming and just all of that. So maybe even you probably may have grown up with a very you have an Aquarius rising, so you have Aries 3rd house, so you probably grew up with very rude people around you, you know, so you also know how to be that rude, but it's more so about, I guess, being honesty, but very aggressive honesty, that type of thing. It's because, I mean, there's different ways of being honest, but there's also, you know, like, and one of them is being aggressive, because you could also be nice about your honesty, you know. But yeah, you could be like one of those super aggressive Virgos that are like aggressive with like telling people about themselves, or very aggressive with like nitpicking. You're aggressively nitpicky, you know, and you're dramatic, like you overreact. You can be one of those people that overreact, especially if you have like a fire moon or your moon in like, fire houses, you just overreact to that shit, But I guess you may not necessarily, unless you like super comfortable with someone, or unless you've been friends, or very like if that's your mother, your sister, maybe not your mother, because I don't think we all tell our mothers what's going on with us. But your friend or something, your cousin, your auntie, you may not necessarily open up your thoughts or be overly honest about you, or maybe not honest, but you may not reveal your thoughts until you have to, or until you're getting revenge or something, or you're trying to protect yourself or something. You're like, what? Actually, I think that you're a bitch. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. You can hide a lot of the information that you have about people. Because one thing, I also have a friend with this particular placement, and she's a Virgo sun, as I said. She's a Virgo sun, Mercury, and Venus, and she has all of those. She has like an 8th house stellium, right? So her sun, her Venus, and her Mercury is in the 8th house, right? And how she communicates is, she's like good at reading people. She's very good at reading people, and she'll tell you what she doesn't like about someone a lot quicker than she'll tell you what she does like about someone. And when she does like someone, she always mentions bad things about them. And that's just how it is. She's always like, damn, she's so pretty, but fuck, dude, she's actually kind of stupid. Or that type. Oh, it's so mean. This is like actually really mean placement, I misunderstood. But it's really just meanness. They're just being mean as fuck. Especially if you can't take that, then I guess don't be around them. But yeah, she's like, that's how it is. Let me not say she, because I'm pretty sure every other Mercury in Virgo in the 8th house placement is exactly like this, But yeah, that's how she's very hard on herself in that sense, She's very like she's very good in school, because it's that whole power and control thing over her mind and her education, and like wanting to be the best, because the 8th house can also be like that in the sense where it just wants to have like dominating like control over everything that they do, and everything that they say, and their facial expressions and all of that, and in that sense also, because she's an Aquarius rising, and I think Aquarius rising maybe could be a rising thing, but her 8th house stellium also contributes to this way. Like, she has a very blank, intimidating face, and that's her Venus thing, but she's attracted to like guys with drama or something like that. I don't know, but I haven't seen her in a long time. But I mean, anyway, I'm going off your track now, but I'm just trying to give you more details as to like how to understand this placement. But yeah, these guys are very like perceptive in that sense, and I think maybe as they grow up, they may not be very sociable people. They may like avoid social situations just because they hate the small talk thing, because what they're constantly thinking about is like, the psychological roots of everything. These are the people with dark humor. Like, this placement guarantees that you will have dark humor, where you're just constantly psychoanalyzing yourself and the people around you. You're psychoanalyzing what people said. And this placement will guarantee that you have a great memory. You remember things that happened to you in the past. You know what I'm saying? Because having Mercury in your water houses, it's very similar to having like a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Mercury. You're just very good at like holding on to emotions, and you're very good with remembering with this placement. You remember things, like you're very good with remembering things. And I definitely would say this is definitely the placement for people who smoke cigarettes a lot. Like, you love smoking cigarettes, But yeah, for the most part, like just how you think, how you have conversations with people, it's like psychoanalyzing. Or maybe you're someone that hurts people's feelings, and that's how you flirt. You flirt by just being a bitch, and you like that with other people, when people can give that back to you, because then you start knowing, oh, okay, well, I don't have to hold back so much, because I feel like with this particular placement, it's either you're psychoanalyzing, because that's just how it is, and I guess you're seeing the darkness of it, and by darkness I mean, you're seeing what people aren't really paying attention to, and by paying attention to I mean the surface level of that thing. You're like looking at the depths, or looking at what's not being said, or looking at, as I said, the psychology of what is being presented to you. You know what I'm saying? Could be that situation. But for the most part, that's how you have conversations with people. It's psychoanalyzing or complaining, but like, like how you complain, it feels like, it's like one of those situations where it feels like, damn, you've held on to this for a long time. Now you're like really getting it out of your chest, that situation. It could be one of those things. But yeah, if you're not psychoanalyzing people, you're letting, or you're like releasing these epiphanies or and these realizations that you had about people. Probably very good at like just hating. You're probably a hater with this placement, you know. And you would hate on anything because you know how to find fault in literally everything. Like the most amazing day you can, and you probably are very prone to doing this thing where like we could be having a conversation about, you know, puppies and cuddles and shit, and you'd be like, yeah, but actually I don't like doing that because my neck gets painful or something, and then you start bringing up things like, and it's like, bro, you just killed the vibe, bro. And for you, and I think for you, like, you may even enjoy killing the vibe, you know, because this does give you like a bad boy edgy thing, especially if you have this conjuncting your sun sign, you know, you just give off this very intimidating look, a very dramatic look. You don't really like a lot of people, or you don't really like, you don't like knowing a lot of people. You're probably one of the people that like you have a set group of friends, and those are the people that you get to release all your true thoughts to, you know. And then you get to, and I think with this particular placement, a lot of people also may not like you. It's because you also exude this energy like, oh damn, like they're being watched. Like when people are around you, they feel like they're being watched or just being overly analyzed, and no one likes to feel that way, you know. No one likes to feel like they're being watched or being like psychoanalyzed, or like being analyzed to the point where like everything that they're doing is just a thing to criticize, you know, that type of thing. That's Mercury in Virgo in the 8th house. These are the type of people that are deeply perceptive, and they know, because it's like mixing, as I said, like Scorpio energy is very perceptive and like, you know, sees through things just by like, I guess, focusing and having a laser point sharp eye. And then the Virgo energy is just, it's similar to that, but it does that with details and zooming in and just trying to see the details to that. So if you mix those two together, do you get what I'm saying? It creates like an overly emphasized, like perceptive, detailed looking into the like looking into the atoms of the psychological things to that, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if you're also into, you know, astrology with this, because my homegirl, as I said, with this placement, she's deeply into astrology, like she's deeply into astrology as I am. Or maybe not deeply, but she's into astrology and tarot. You know, you also with anybody else with this placement, you're also very much into astrology and tarot, and maybe even being a doctor or a surgeon, you know, where it allows you to like just dig deeper into things. Maybe you can even be an archaeologist with this. I don't know. You just like digging deeper into things. Oh, you could be an actor with this, but I think you just maybe, and as I said with the 5th house, it'll be similar with the 5th house, where you kind of know how to, you pay attention to how people express themselves, you know. But with the 8th house, you take it a lot further by, you know how to pay attention to how people express themselves, but you're looking into the psychological background to that, so you know you may understand where someone comes from, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's not going to stop you from criticizing them. You're gonna criticize them a lot, you know, that type of thing. And then yeah, that's Mercury. And then moving on to Mercury and Virgo in the 9th house. So we know 9th house is all about like, you know, your spirituality, your moral systems, your morality, really, your like faith systems, you know, like your experiences that bring you wisdom and shit like that, as you've heard me say so many times. So having Virgo here in the 9th house, I think this gives it a little bit more freedom, where the Virgo energy doesn't have to be so like very picky, like nitpicky, you know. But having Mercury in the 9th house, this is a debilitation, you know what I'm saying? So as much as you are also, it's very easy for you to pick up on different lingos and languages and, you know, other languages, you know, you probably would learn Spanish easily if you weren't Spanish. You didn't know how to speak the language, you know what I'm saying? Having Mercury in the 9th house, that awards you that particular reward, that gift, that thing, whatever you want to call it. But it's difficult for you to even explain, like, for example, you know how you can, you know, sometimes it's difficult to explain like the philosophical way of living. For example, let me say it like this, right? Let's say you had an epiphany about why there's war in the world, like why people kill each other and shit like that, you know. Like you have an epiphany about, okay, people kill each other because Mother Nature just has, you know, a feminine and a masculine expression, or a good and a bad expression, and that's just, and we, like, Mother Nature just what's this, she, how do I say, like, Mother Nature exudes her good and badness in human beings. So we are just a direct reflection of what Mother Nature is exactly, you know. You may sometimes struggle with, like, saying shit like that, you know, because it's, maybe not so struggle, because I mean, Mercury is homey in Virgo. Let me say, it could get really difficult to explain, like, those big broad ways of viewing things, because a lot of people don't care about that, but also a lot of people don't know how, like, they, I guess, can't expand their minds in that sense. A lot of people meet you with, like, things like, oh dude, but we should just, you know, they may, like, disagree, or maybe not so disagree, but it's just, let me say, kind of difficult to say without you maybe making something sound like a metaphor, you know. I think it's better for you to speak in metaphors and innuendos and shit like that, you know. It could be difficult to just say things very directly, or maybe not, maybe because this is the 9th house, which is the house of truth and shit, so you could be overly honest with this particular placement and be, you know, kind of a little bit aggressive with how you're honest about things, you know. Maybe you don't find it difficult to, you know, explain, like, your broad way of seeing the world, or your broad, and this is for Capricorn risings, so yeah, you're so very reserved with this. Probably very, very reserved with this placement. You don't really like talking much, because the things that you think about are very, like, large, and, you know, thinking about, like, okay, if I die and I'm living and I've evolved this much, and, you know, I'm not the same person as I was when I'm 3, when I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that essentially means when I die, I'm just gonna be doing exactly what I'm doing now. Just, I'll be doing that in a different body and in a different, as a different person, different name and shit like that. You know, and sometimes, like, you know, having those conversations with people can freak people out, or be like, what? That's weird. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So in that sense, it can make it difficult for you to communicate with people, because you're constantly thinking and communicating the broad perspective of something, you know? Those vibes. Those vibes, dude. Yeah. Yeah, so it could be that situation, you know, but for the most part, I think you can be a good, you could be adamant on wanting to explore something, or maybe you only want to explore if, you know, you're gonna get money from that shit, you know. It could also be a situation where you use your spirituality to guide your routines, you know. You use, for example, like, let's say you're into astrology right now because you're watching this video, so you use astrology as part of your daily routines and your daily rituals. So, okay, you know, you do astrology, so, you know, okay, in the morning we check the current energies. I'm really talking about myself right now because this is what I do, but, like, you know, it's very fitting for what's going on right now. So, like, in the morning you check the current vibes, see what's going on in the world, like the planets, where the moon is at, where the sun is at, if any planets shifted in, you know, like now Mars is in Scorpio, so you want to check that, you know. That's part of your daily routine. Or maybe part of your daily routine is, like, constantly thinking about astrology. You can't, like, you don't know how to have conversations without bringing that shit up, you know. Or even if you do know, like, you figure out a way to not always bring up, like, asking people's star signs and all of that, but you kind of maybe, like, have this thing in your head where you can, like, play the guessing game and be like, oh, okay, what is she? Maybe, like, you've gone through so many, dude, you're so fucking annoying, stop talking about astrology. So you do this thing where you still want to, you know, obviously astrology is still a part of your life because that's your spiritual systems, right? That falls in your 9th house. So, and, like, how you, I guess, analyze people, you're analyzing people, so you're also analyzing their movement and, like, saying, oh, okay, you move like a Taurus, you move like a Gemini, you know what I'm saying, shit like that. So you incorporate spirituality in your daily life. That's what that vibe is, you know, and that's what you're constantly thinking about. Anyway, moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the 10th house now. So 10th house, we know, is your reputation, your career, who you're known to be, what you want to present to the world, and what, you know, your legacy and shit like that, what you want to leave to the world and what you want to present to the world, you know, that power and, you know, that shit, you know, what you're working towards. And then when you get there, that's the 10th house, or what people are seeing you work towards, that type of vibe. Or generally what you're known for, that's 10th house. But having Virgo in your 10th house as a Sagittarius rising, I think you're definitely known as someone who is, like, you're known to be a Virgo. You're known to be organized. You're known to be, you know, very smart. And the way that you say things is, like, what you didn't have to say okay, I don't want to say it like, darling, I'm famished. Would you please get me some delectables to feed my hunger? You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, why didn't you just say that? You could have just said you're hungry, dude. What the fuck? You know, you're just so like your grammar and the way you say things is crazy. And you probably grew up in, you know, you have Aquarius in your fourth house as this, no, Sagittarius rising. You have what? Pisces in your fourth house. Okay, so you probably grew up in a very, you know, spiritual home. And then in the world you're met with like a lot of logic and having to do things like, you know, very detailedly, because at home it's probably very scattered and not that detailed, and everyone smokes weed maybe at your home or does drugs, I don't know, to alcoholics, artists, I don't know, maybe someone in your family's like in a mental hospital, because, you know, 12th house Pisces can definitely get there. And then you in the public, you want to be seen as the opposite. You want to be seen as someone that is, you know, you don't have like crazy mental disorders. You want to be known as someone who doesn't have that. You want to be known as someone who is organized, someone who is clean, and who isn't so messy, and who isn't just overly dependent on, oh, the universe will provide for me. And you want to be known as someone who does have a plan for things. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you're constantly thinking about. You think about, oh shit, like, do people take me seriously? Am I a joke to people? Do people see me as stupid or something? And you don't want to be seen as stupid, so then you do things in order to prevent being looked at as stupid. You know what I'm saying? So that's even dressing up in all black or something. Maybe your wardrobe is very simple. As I said, your words are very sharp and very honest, but very like intellectually grounded. And you know what I'm saying? You want to, like, that's who you want to be, but that's essentially who you are to the world. Like, people see you as that. People see you as that kind of person, that kind of guy, that kind of gal, that kind of human being. You know, and essentially, I think I think people with Virgo 10th houses are very. Oh, do I know someone like that? Yeah, you just want to be known as someone who has their shit together. You know, their shit in order. You want to be known as someone that has their shit in order, or someone that, like, let's say, for example, let's say you're even a mother or father. You know, people know you as like, you're probably, excuse me, some people know you as, sure, very nurturing, because I mean, Virgo energy can be very nurturing, but people know you as someone that's like very like organized. I mean, I feel like this, you know, there's only so many words to describe Virgo energy, and organized is one of them. You know what I'm saying? But I think that you're very organized when it comes to your business. You know, especially when you want to start a business, you want to be very detailed in what you do, and, you know, what you contribute into your business. You know, you're very calculated in that way, and you demand and you want things in like a specific way. You know what I'm saying? And when people try to tell you, do it this way, you'll be like, okay, let's see how that works. And then be like, you know what, fuck this, I actually don't like that. That was stupid in the first place. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. Yeah, that type of thing. But that's generally how people see you, as a very organized person, very private also. You probably don't like going out that much. Having Virgo in your 10th house will guarantee, or I would say mostly guarantee, that you're not someone that people see very often. You know, unless your job requires you, like, let's say you're a DJ, you know, or like you're a club manager, or you're a freelance or something, and you need to, you know, really network and do all of that. But if you don't have to, you probably won't go out that much. Yeah, people just don't see you that much. Or if they do see you, it's probably because they see you doing something related to your work. You know, yeah, having earth or water in the 10th house will guarantee that you're someone that doesn't go out that much. Or if you do go out, you go out to spaces that I don't know, spaces that like relate to what you already have going on. You know, this is all about like, how do you already help what you have going on, that type of thing. But that's what you're constantly thinking about with Virgo, Mercury in the 10th house. But also constantly thinking about how to improve your business. You know, like, you know how to listen to like Jay-Z or Kanye West talk about how they came up, and you want to listen to that and be like, I can take that. I can, that fifth point he made, I like that. That third point, that seventh point, I'm going to take that and include that into what I'm doing. And in that sense, you know, you're cool. But also, I think in a sense, could also make you a user. But I mean, I guess everyone's a user. So Moving on to Mercury in Virgo in the 11th house. So 11th house we know is like the house of the unknown. This is like, the Aquarius house. So this is the house where you do things in a very unique way. This is your unique house, including that Uranus planet, which would be how you do things uniquely. So, whatever. And then, so having your Mercury in Virgo in the 11th house, I think this also makes someone like, you probably would be an artist, because I know a lady, wait, you probably have a Cancer rising? No. Scorpio rising. Yeah, you're Scorpio rising at this. So you're Scorpio rising with Virgo Mercury in the 11th house. And then you have Aquarius in your fucking in your 4th house. Okay, you're definitely, as I was saying, I know someone with this particular placement, and she is like, her art is very abstract, like so freaking abstract, dude. Like, but it's so cool, and I'm gonna like insert some pictures here. But her fucking art, but her fucking art is super abstract, right? And I mean, sure, she's very not famous, but she has a lot of followers on Instagram, and that will probably be a thing for you guys, because having 11th house placements in your personal planets will guarantee that you are very much into social media. Even if you're not like into going out, like physically going out, you're definitely gonna be someone that's very much into social media. And you're probably someone who would like having relationships over social media, because there's still like distance, and there's still room for you to like, decide if you even want to have a conversation with that person, or there'll be room for you to decide that, you want to, I guess, form a relationship, whether it be romantic or friendship or whatever. Like, there's room for you to like detach and then come back, that type of thing. There's just room for you to be free, and that's the 11th house, freedom and shit, and friendships and acquaintances more so, like people that you don't see that often. You see them once in a blue moon. That once in a blue moon energy. That's Aquarius 11th house energy. Or you only see them distantly, which is aka social media, from a broad way of communicating with people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think communicating for you is like easy, and I would say you're kind of a people person, but not really. Actually, no, not really. Scorpio rising, bro. There's no fucking way, but you probably like social media. You can speak to people on social media all day and lie to them about what you do in your life all day, every day, but you like doing it in the comfort of your own home, that type of thing. And I would say you're probably always thinking about how to form, like, you're probably thinking about strategical ways of how to form, these acquaintances or these friendships with people, especially with people that are like-minded. Like, for example, this girl that I was talking about, who is also a Virgo, she has Virgo Sun and Mercury in the 11th house as a Scorpio rising. So how, like, she has, as I said, she has a lot of followers, right? And she's very introverted, but she can talk she knows how to communicate online with people that can help her with what like her arts and stuff, and can plug her to other artists that she can work with and shit. But she's also good with just like not really good, but she likes going live and connecting to people in that sense, because I think in that sense she's in control, and she is able to communicate with people, but she can, I guess, control when. I guess when you're at a party, anyone can walk up to you and just start a conversation, and you may not really like small talk. But on social media, you can come with the intention. And that's the thing with Virgo, Mercury people. They don't want to do something without knowing what they're going to do. A lot of people can just jump on live and just, like, oh, okay, I'm going to start talking about this. But I think with this placement, you need to have, like, a specific topic to talk about. And then you can, like, share it to the public world. Other than that, you're just thinking about some crazy shit, bro. And you're thinking deeply about it. Like, and by deeply, I mean thinking about, like, the fucking details of these existential thoughts that you have, like thoughts about, and I think that's where your artistic side will come from, is the existentialism, like, because you have these tendencies of thinking like, oh man, like, why do humans only have 2 eyes? Like, why can't we have 3 eyes? And it's just like this, it could kind of feel like body dysmorphia, that type of thing. You could have body dysmorphia with this particular placement, where you just kind of feel like, damn, like, I'm really a person? That's weird. That's suspicious. Like, and those are the thoughts you have, and that, like, really if you are artistic, which I'm sure you are, because if you're on this channel, you're definitely an artistic person. You may, like, those existential thoughts fuel your artistic ability. So especially if you are into drawing, you're very abstract in that sense. If you make music, you probably you're planning on making weird music. If you're a fashionista, you plan on making weird clothes, your house will probably be shaped very weird. You're just a very weird thinker, a weird person, and you're very good with thinking, because in that sense you're also good at like analyzing people, but you may not necessarily, it's like difficult for you to like, it's like you understand how other people are and how they act and stuff, but for you to like be like, damn, like I'm not like that, I want to be like that sometimes, or I should probably adapt those I should probably adapt the way someone does that to be more normal or be more humanistic or something. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're constantly thinking about. Yeah, but you just have an abstract mind. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love it. Love it for you. But yeah, that's it for Mercury and Virgo. That's all I have to say for Mercury and Virgo. So moving on to Mercury, last but not least. Mercury in Virgo in the 12th house as a Libra rising, for Libra risings, or I don't know what's before Libra, as a Virgo rising, as a Scorpio rising, yeah, as a Scorpio rising. That's what you, and maybe like it didn't quite make it into your, wait, can I say first house? Yeah, you could be a Virgo rising with this, so it didn't quite make it into your first house, so it just jumped into your 12th house. You know what I'm saying? Or you could just be, a Libra rising and have your Virgo in the 12th house like that. Depends, really. There's so many things that go into astrology. But yeah, you could with this placement see everything. With having a Libra rising, your whole planets are flipped. You know what I'm saying? So the signs are in their opposite houses. So with this particular placement, you're someone that having fucking Virgo Mercury in the 12th house, I would say yes, you can communicate, but I think sometimes you may like, because it'll work like having a retrograde, like having a Mercury retrograde in that sense, right? It'll be very similar to having a Mercury retrograde, where like, sure, you can communicate. Oh, let me not say that. Let me say this. You're one of those Virgo Mercury that's not too quick to assume what someone is about to say. And you're a very good listener with this particular placement. When you learn, like Mercury in the 12th house, throughout your life, you learn to sit down and listen and like really like pay attention to what someone is saying. And obviously because it's in a water house, you have, like you're also feeling through what someone is saying and like perceiving through the emotions of what they're saying, and like that's how you kind of would get the point of what they're saying, just depending on how that conversation made you feel, what they're saying made you feel. But as I was saying, like it makes you a very good listener in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes Virgo may also cut you off, or be like, matter of fact, actually. But with this placement, you kind of take your time with digesting what someone is saying to you and like processing information, just because you want to make sure you got all the facts right before you comment. It'll be very similar to having a Mercury in Taurus, as I've always said, because all the Mercury in Earth signs will have similar attributes and similar ways of communicating and thinking. You know what I'm saying? But with this, also, I think also like but yes, you will have your slow, amazing listening skills and your slow responses, or maybe let me say your carefully orchestrated, carefully thought about response to someone. That's something that will be rewarded with you being a good listener. You know what I'm saying? But also, I think this makes you someone that's, you probably don't like talking. I think these will be the Virgo people, the Virgo Mercuries that aren't necessarily that adamant about talking, or they will like, I guess shy away from the world or their friends maybe, or they'll just kind of start dissociating, because what they're like thinking about is like I won't even say some weird abstract things, but what you're thinking about isn't necessarily something that Mercury likes to think about, because the 12th house world is everything and nothing at the same time. Just think about everything and nothing at the same time. Like, just think about how, like, you see, the thing that 12th house and 9th house have in common is, I guess, higher wisdom of something. You know what I'm saying? So just think about, if you think a thought right now, like, there's many ways of coming to that conclusion. That's all on, like, that's everything and nothing at the same time. And the 12th house is more, it's like, in a sense, like, okay, we can, like, everything is the way it is, but at the same time, everything is an illusion. And I think Mercury, thinking about, you see, Mercury so detail-oriented, like, having those thoughts, and this is something that a Mercury and Virgo person will go through, where they'll be like, damn, like, where do I even begin to start analyzing the concept of everything and nothing at the same time? You know what I'm saying? So these are the type of people that they may not necessarily have, I don't know, maybe not good at school or something, whatever. But I think these are the type of people that would definitely gravitate towards, how do I perfect my art? So if they're artists, then, you know, art is very Neptunian and 12th housey. But having that, I guess, you have control over the details of what you paint on the canvas or whatever. That's the Virgo part. So I think these people would definitely make amazing artists. I know someone, I gave a reading to someone with this particular placement. I'm not too sure what she does though. I mean, if you do work in like corporate America, in corporate things, whatever, I think you're probably someone that would like to do things a little bit drunk or a little high. You like going to work or school high or something, or you daydream a lot. Of course, this definitely guarantees that you will daydream a lot, you know. But I really don't see someone with this placement working in a corporate job or something, or like working there for a long time without like kind of getting frustrated with I guess having to like think so logically about that. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, even though Virgo Mercury can be very logical, having it in the 12th house, you know, like that's the area of life that you're constantly thinking about. So you're constantly trying to nitpick and be organized with something that is fluid and ever changing. You know what I'm saying? So I also wouldn't be surprised if you change jobs a lot with this placement, or maybe you, I don't know, switch positions or something, or maybe you're just like the art guy, the art director. So I feel like with this particular placement, something revolving around like art, that would be cool. Or maybe one of those like super delusional people that, you know, you have many different fears that stem from like irrational places, and you think about them like they're real. Like I think maybe this could be a placement where you make your fears real. Or you can make your fears real, like a germaphobe fear, where you really start believing like, oh my god, if I touch this window, I'm probably gonna start like melting. You know, it could be delusional in that way, you know, and then you start like acting in ways that like, I think Carrie, the movie Carrie, I think Carrie's mom could have this particular placement, you know. Maybe she could be a Virgo with her son in the 8th house, where like she could be so delusional, like she could be overly paranoid about things that are not there and then make them real in her head, and then like start acting accordingly, you know, like forming routines around how to not get that. Like how to not get that disease or whatever, even though it's like, dude, you're okay, you're just like crazy, you know, that type of thing. Yeah, because as I said, you know, 12th house, I think a lot of astrologers may have issues explaining the 12th house, because it really is an everything and nothing situation. It is what you make it. So if you make it to be, you know, a big thing, then it's going to be a big thing. But if it's not, if you make it to not be a big thing, then it doesn't have to be a big thing. But at the same time, you can shift in and out of that, you know. You can make it a big thing, and then it's like not a big thing anymore, and then it is, and it's not, then it is, and it's not. That vibe. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. I'm officially done with this video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it took me a while to post this, but I'm here now, guys, so you know, whatever. In my next video, we're going to talk about Mercury in Libra, and I'm going to be super excited because I'm a Mercury in Libra, and that's going to be great to communicate about. But yeah, in my next video, we're going to do Mercury in Libra, and then Mercury in Libra through the houses. And once again, thank you so much for your love and support. I'm stumbling and stuttering so much in this video, but like, you know, whatever, who cares? So yeah, I'll see you in my next video, and please enjoy your day or evening or whatever. Yeah, see you in my next video.